Friends with Benefits, Part 2. I got through it day by day. Somehow I managed to get up and dust myself off and carry on. I cannot deny some days were harder than others. I wanted to go to his place and bang on his door and beg him for answers. But I did no such thing. I was not the kind of person that liked confrontation. So I kept my distance and let him enjoy his relationship. I threw myself into my work, my family, and my friends. I noticed that as long as I kept myself busy, then I did not think about him. I was numb, unfeeling, but at least I was not a mess. That is how I got through stuff, by crying and then moving on. One day, Becky called me and asked me to go out with her and some friends. I was working from home that day, putting in some extra hours. That was one good thing about my breakup, except I could not call it that because we were never dating. I had started working harder and was in line for a promotion. I was about to decline her request, but I figured that I'd been working hard that week, so I had every right to unwind. I had been at it for hours, and my brain was unable to take in any more information. I got dressed while waiting for my Uber and headed into town. There was a new club that had just opened which was called Club Legacy, and that was where I would meet them. After standing in line for a while, I was finally let in. It was gorgeous with purple lighting and shiny new floors. Young people flooded the club. Bodies glistening with glitter and young love. Oh, how I wished to be like them. Pulsing with life. But the sad truth is that adulthood got in the way. I texted Becky to ask her where she was, and she told me that they were in a lounge opposite the bar. I cut through the dancing bodies, and soon I was at the bar. I looked across from me and I saw them. There was Becky, Ryan, Susie, and someone else that was looking away from me. I made my way over to them and sat down next to Susie. "Well, hello, my favorite people," I chirped. "You made it," Becky screamed. Everyone else greeted me. I turned to look at this new person and was taken aback, for it was the man that I had seen in the bar a few weeks back. He looked at me blankly, but slowly recognition began to settle in his eyes. He grinned, revealing a nice row of teeth. "Hey you, what a pleasant surprise." His voice sent shivers down my spine. "Hey," I smiled at him, then went to sit back. "You two know each other?" he asked. "Kinda. We saw each other at the bar a few weeks ago. We had a bit of a friendly exchange, then went on our way," he explained, looking at me the whole time. "Cool. Ollie here's my cousin. He's new to the city. He came here a few weeks ago," Ryan said. "Yep, I've been begging this one to go out with me for ages. He's been hiding his friends from me," Ollie chuckled. I looked down, flushed for the first time in a long time. I cannot for the life of me fathom why this man was making me feel all tingly. He was a stranger, yet not. "Nonsense, you go out too much. I cannot keep up," Ryan replied. We all laughed. A round of shots was brought by a hostess and we each downed them. The conversation between the five of us flowed. I got to know a bit about Ryan through the conversation. He was a professional surfer, had lived in London before moving here, and was working at the surf shop. I found that cool, but I did not know much about surfing. The others got up one by one to go dancing, and the two of us were left behind. I sipped my beer as I tried desperately not to look him in the eyes. His eyes were too piercing. I felt exposed when he looked at me. "Barely said a word. Tell me about you," he said. There is nothing to tell, really. I work in marketing. I've lived here for the past 2 years and I enjoyed reading and music," I said. "Not much of a reader, but I do enjoy music. Anyone you enjoy listening to in particular?" he asked. "Jack White, the 69 Eyes, David Bowie, and you?" he asked. "First of all, I love Jack White. I like Avril Lavigne, Queen, The Weeknd. My taste in music is very diverse. I listen to everything," he said. "Such a cliche," I rolled my eyes. "The fact that I listen to all types of music? Well, which song of Jake White is your favorite?" "Easily it is Would You Fight for My Love," I said. "Okay, that's a classic. I like his version of Jolene," he said. We found out that we had a few things in common after that, so we talked some more. Yes, I know the club's not for talking, but have you ever met someone you can talk to for hours? Everyone is bound to meet such a person in their lives. And with that person, everything else falls away. I felt that way when I talked to him, as if everything else did not matter. Where we were, what we were doing, but who we were mattered so much more. After a while, we were dragged away by the others because we were being bores, in the words of Susie. Then we danced the night away. I'm not much of a dancer, but he was, and he showed me a few moves. I was laughing and flushed by the end of the song. I pulsed with life after such a long time and comatose. Everything was extra bright, extra loud, and extra savory to the point of sensory overload, but I was happy about it. I was hooked. I did not want to repeat the mistake of last time, though. Nursing a hangover was something that I did not want to have to deal with. It was the worst part about drinking, so I said goodbye to the others and got myself an Uber. I was sad that I had to leave my new friend, but I figured that we would eventually meet again and continue our conversation. When I got home, I threw myself on the bed and slept like a baby. The next morning, as I was sorting through all my clothes to see which ones I had to send to the laundry and which ones I could wash myself, I came across my jeans, which I had been wearing the previous week. I searched the pockets for anything that I had left behind. I had fallen victim to washing jeans while there were important things in them, and I was not going to let it happen again. The number of times when I had to hang my money. As I was searching through the pockets, I came across a piece of paper. I opened it and I smiled. It was a phone number, and beneath it was Ollie's name. I fist bumped the air. I had thought that I would have to wait until next time I went out to see him, but the love goddess had smiled down upon me. I finished my task and saved his number on my phone. I sent him a text at that moment. Me, you shouldn't slip pieces of paper into people's pockets. I nearly washed that jean. Him, I am deeply apologetic. Let me make it up to you with some breakfast. Me, tell me the time and the place and I will be there. Him, how about now? Me, it's nearly 12. I would be brunch. Him, of course. Let me take you out for brunch. The butterflies in my tummy that I got whenever I spoke to him threatened to kill me at that moment. I started running around like a crazy person, looking for something to wear. I settled on a light blue shirt and white shorts, since it was going to be a bit hot. I left my apartment and made my way over to the place he had texted me. It was a 10-minute walk from my place, so I did not have to drive or take a taxi. I walked into the charming little place and spotted him immediately. He was sitting at the back and typing on his phone. Hey you, I said, taking a seat. He looked up and smiled at me. Hey, been a minute, he chuckled. The thing about him was that he could chat for hours. He was also very attentive. He was wickedly funny and had me in stitches in no time. It had been such a long time since I clicked with someone, so it became a regular thing. We would hang out whenever we were free. He was an adventurous person, so we were always going to the coolest places in the city. I had lived there for a while, but I did not even know half of the places. I experienced new things, food and experiences, and through all that, we became close. I felt so happy when I was with him, and my feelings started to develop into more than a friendship. From the beginning, there had been something between us that we could not deny. I wanted to know more about him every day. I was giddy, singing in the shower, daydreaming, could not stop. I had a crush on someone. I was the same person who had been skeptical about love just a few weeks ago. But now, here I was, falling for someone. And I was happy to. He was my dream guy. I was also scared. Sometimes my mind drifted back to Frank and all that had transpired between us. I did not want to go through that again. I did not want to tell someone that I liked them and have them reject me again. I was no stranger to such occurrences, sadly. But with each day that came, I fell for that man. He was so down to earth, treated me with such kindness, and when he touched me, gosh, it was electric. I felt as if I would spontaneously combust at that moment, and maybe I wanted to. I wanted to burst into a million sparks of happiness. Oh, but how to tell him? I had told Becky, my best friend and partner in crime, and she began urging me to let him know that I liked him. I wanted to, but I was so nervous. What if he didn't feel the same way? What if those glances, that near kiss was all in my imagination? Oh, the what-ifs were killing me. One day, as we were having dinner at my place, I noticed that he was fidgeting a lot. I figured that something was up because he was usually so confident. Dude, you okay? I asked him. Of course I'm fine. Why? He laughed nervously. Right, I said as I went back to eating my food. After dinner, we sat on the couch to watch a movie. His hands were shaking. It was evident that he was not okay. I refuse to watch any movie if you do not tell me what's going on. I raised an eyebrow. Okay. He turned to look at me in the eyes. He looked so vulnerable, like I had never seen before. I hoped that he was okay and not about to tell me some bad news. Josh, he said. Yes, I smiled. I've been wanting to tell you this for a long time, but I've chickened out of every time due to nerves. I like you as more than a friend, he looked down, cheeks turning red. Really? I asked, feeling like I was on top of the world. For once, someone had chosen me. Someone had seen something in me. I was not repulsive as I had come to believe. He liked me. Yes, he said. And I like you too, I smiled. His face lit up and he got up and started jumping up and down. Yes, 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 he shouted. I laughed at his reaction. He scooped me up and pulled me in for a hug. His scent was so intoxicating, I could have gotten lost in it. I felt like I belonged in his arms. They were so comfortable. I wished that I could freeze that moment and never let go of him. I wanted to just stay in that bliss for as long as I could. Our relationship was very good. We took things slowly because we wanted to feel every moment. We were not in a rush to do everything in just a few months. Getting to know the depths of someone's soul is just as intimate as a passionate kiss. Of course, not everything was perfect. We did have our flaws. Both of us were very stubborn and set in our ways. But patience does go a long way, which we soon learned. We had our first kiss after a month of being together. As unbelievable as that sounds, we wanted to take our time getting to know each other. It was after we had gone to the arcade. It had been my suggestion because that was my favorite place to go. He had impressed me with his skills at games despite only having gone a few times. We had walked back to his car and sat there for a while. Gotta admit it, I destroyed you back then. He could not stop laughing at me. I was pouting like a spoiled little kid. Whatever, I huffed. Look at me, he said. Nope, I stared at the wall of the parking lot. Please, he said, coming closer to me. Of course my body reacted to him. He had that effect on me. To this day, he still made me nervous at times, but I liked the thrill of not knowing what was next. No, I said. Okay then, suit yourself, he retreated. His absence left me feeling cold. I relented and turned to look at him. His eyes had darkened, and he was leaning towards me. I misunderstood everything. Our lips connected. I felt everything with him. I felt his need for me. It had been worth it to wait for that perfect moment. His eyes took me out of this world, and I was dancing in the cosmos. It is a bit of an exaggeration, but the feeling I got was pretty close to that. We sat in the car making out for what seemed like hours. Then we got home and had a sleepover. My feelings for him were growing every day, and I was sure that I loved him. It was a scary thing to confess, but he had taught me to take risks in life. So one night, after we had made love for the first time, I said those 3 magic words to him. I love you, I said. I love you too, he said to me. I already knew before he told me that he loved me. We had been seeing each other for 6 months, but it felt like a couple of years. But of course, things could not be perfect forever. I could not just be happy without something happening that would ruin my mood. One day, I got a text message from an unknown number. Unknown. Hi, this is Frank. I'm sorry for all that I did to you. I know that I hurt you. I've realized that I like you. My ex is not the person that I want to be with. It took me a long time to realize that I want you, but I would not stop thinking about you these past few months. Please take me back? Everything came flooding back to me. How he had been there for me during the most difficult times in my life. My feelings for him. It all came back to me. Then there was Ollie, who had been nothing but kind to me, who had treated me like a person, better than Frank had. A while ago, before I fell for Ollie, I would have taken Frank back because he has been in my world for a long time. But what kind of person did what he had done to someone who put so much effort into him? I did not know what Frank was playing at. Maybe he really did like me, or maybe he did not want to see me happy. I was not going to stick around to find out. I blocked his number and put my phone in my pocket, then went back to shopping for my boyfriend's gift. Sometimes you will fall in love with someone and want to be with them with your all. You will pour your heart out to them as if they were your anchor. In those moments you will see them as your one true love, but you will wonder why they cannot seem to love you. You will get broken sometimes. It is life. You will feel as if no one can love you, which is not true, but you should hold on. You should know your self-worth, because one day you will find someone who will love you, and that person will add value to your life and not take you for granted. It may seem grim, but heartbreak happens for a reason. The end. Thanks for watching. Consider subscribing to become part of our Rainbow Force and stay wholesome.